Hi! So today, a week late, we'll get to how to select your IVF clinic. Now, I don't have much incredible news for you other than go with your gut is very true. We started looking at clinics probably almost 2 years ago. We were sort of almost told that we might get IVF treatment on the NHS. However, we had no chance from the beginning, as we do both still have alive children from previous marriages. And there's many other reasons. The fact that my husband had a previous vasectomy as well meant that we wouldn't have qualified anyway. It is there for those very much in need, which is beautiful, but that is why we waited a bit longer. So I did all the research, of course. I first actually contacted a fertility clinic in Manchester as they ranked up highly on Google. I don't usually go for advertised sponsored results, but looking up the things, and they made great claims about the best, being one of the best in the country, etc, etc. To be honest, they phoned, and for what was probably just was probably the admin assistant or receptionist, not a doctor, to say straight away that we'd have to move straight to ICSI. I didn't want to hear that at that very first stage. We thought we'd at least get seen, maybe have some tests before they, basically wrote off being able to do any more natural course of treatment. And also obviously Manchester's a long way from, we were in Chessington near London. We're now just a little bit further out than that, a little bit further north, but nowhere near that far. That was that. There's others around, I think it was Woking or Guildford, all those sorts of areas. Lots of Surrey we were looking at, but they all sounded much of a much. I emailed probably 4 or 5 in and around London and Surrey, and only heard back from 2 or 3. They varied from saying we'd have to have ICSI to, firstly, we'd need the cheapest £550 for a consultation with a few tests. So, of course, now, looking back, £420 to go to Prague, meet the clinician and have all our tests included in the price, seems quite a good deal still. But I think a lot of places around London and Surrey charge £700 to £1,000 for initial blood tests. This is just blood tests, possibly semen analysis. Most of them don't offer a scan to begin with, which was actually part of the consultation in Prague. We had some blood tests the day before and semen analysis, and during the consultation the doctor just had me over the other side of the room, down trow on the, in the old stirrups. My husband sitting there like, obviously obviously at 42 we're used to it, but obviously he'd never quite seen that level of exposure randomly to a strange doctor before. We didn't go to any of those clinics initially. About a year ago, maybe a little less, we did go to an open evening at a local clinic in Epsom, I did read on the HFEA website, that success rates are misleading, and really they're all very similar. And of course it depends much more on the woman and her quality of eggs. The process is going to be very similar wherever you go. It largely depends on the mother. I suppose it does also depend on what extra tests they might do on your eggs if you're using your own. But also, you know, they didn't really offer much examination of the uterus before deciding what treatment to go ahead with. And at this point, if we'd have just gone ahead, makes me glad. My husband, I think, had a little hesitation in actually starting, and obviously the cost was a big obstacle for us. But we'd be £8,000, £9,000, £10,000 in for the first attempt at this point, possibly without even knowing why it wasn't working. I think we'd have been lucky to get decent quality eggs from me, oocytes. It was a possibility, but at my age, even with my good to average, or average to good results for the AMH and things like that, it's still only sort of 11% chance of success. Yeah, so with what we are going, sorry, skipping ahead again, we are going to do full embryo transfer, so oocyte and sperm from a donor in Prague, but that has more of a 60-65% success rate, so a bit of a no-brainer. It's a very emotionally tumultuous time, so obviously you don't want to have to go through it more times than you need to, financially, emotionally, spiritually, everythingly. You know, you'll need counselling. It's a long journey. I think in a way it's kind of good we had those financial and other sort of emotional barriers in starting the process, because I probably would have been through more, my body would have been through more. You know, we'd be quite exhausted by now already, and probably looking at adoption again. But in the UK, that is a very difficult process too. And also we've had children with very, very challenging behaviour, very high need. And I think our nerves, you know, it could happen again, and obviously we'd be stronger together and both on the same page. But, you know, we'd rather try and start again from scratch. You know, we've rescued a dog, well, both our dogs are rescues, but one from the streets of Hungary, from a killing station, and his reactivity still after 3 years is still quite, you know, doesn't help the anxiety. My nervous system can't really cope, so that's our reason, well, a lot of reasons why we're not sure adoption or fostering would be the best option for us. So yeah, anyway, so back to, where were we? Back to London and Surrey clinics, British clinics. Yeah, we did have a consultation with the clinic in Epsom where we went to the open evening. Yeah, absolutely fine. Well, we went there because, like I said, the HFEA website even says, you know, results are misleading. So for me, I really wanted to try and find somewhere, tried to research reviews more, and, you know, good old net mums and things like that, forums, trying to see where was recommended, where did people feel looked after, because it's horrible. But you'd think creating life would be a bit different to other sorts of clinics, but no, it's still very much feel a bit like cattle, very, very cold, very just a procedure, you know. But it's obviously, for us, it's much more from, I can't imagine any woman, you know, we're all different, but we're very emotional people, and we just felt it was a bit cold. But yeah, the doctor was lovely. He did say again that we would need to go straight to ICSI, which here is an extra £1,000 roughly in most clinics. As I said, in Prague, it's standard procedure. Yeah, so we thought we'd go ahead actually, and the reason we didn't is because it was very, very hard to arrange appointments. They didn't call us, which in this country you're kind of used to a little bit of the hard sell, and in this instance we have no idea of the process, what dates, times, everything that we need to go in for different tests, which time of the month, which day of my cycle, all the rest of it, and they didn't get in touch with us. So we did chase them a little and ask about other tests and things like that, and freezing my husband's sperm in case there wasn't enough on the actual day, all that sort of thing. But then they never really came back to us with solid dates or, you know, a solid, okay, do you want to come in? So we didn't. Life goes on, you know, we've got our own business. My son's hard work, the dogs, etc. We moved past that. It was probably near Christmas again. Yeah, so then we attended another open event at I forget what they're called, Create possibly, where it's a more mild IVF, natural IVF, they call it mild IVF, thinking that sounded a lot better, seeing as I am such an emotional, hormonal wreck of a person. But again, they sort of badgered for a couple of days. It was a bit too much, the amount they kept trying to get hold of us. And then when I said, basically I was waiting till the week after to book, because they do insist on more of a thorough uterine investigation, scans and things before the consultation. When I went to book it, I said basically we have to wait till after the weekend as we're self-employed, and then we never heard from them again. So yet again, it felt like, well, they obviously not too bothered. We didn't know exactly what to do. So again, we didn't go there either. Time went on, we got distracted. Until I had another look. I thought, okay, we can't raise £8,000 to £10,000 for the first cycle. What are we going to do? And I just, although I think it might have been on the HFEA website again, warning, of course, warning against being tempted by going abroad for the cheaper prices, because standards are different in other countries. Our opinion is that, yeah, their standards are better. Like I said, we chose a clinic in Prague where they got in touch within 2 or 3 days, insisted on arranging a phone call appointment, a phone call, just a chat really, actually, not really a full-on appointment, with our coordinator. And she explained the whole process. My phone kept dropping out, like it does anyway. It wasn't nothing to do with international calling, it's my phone. But she kept calling back, and she was, you know, English fantastic, not a problem, no problem communicating, you know, told us all about the process, booked us in. I sent any results I did have. You know, I'd started recently to get some tests done through the NHS. You know, found out I had endometriosis only a few months ago, well, about 5 months ago. Is it October? Yes, 5 months ago in October. That there was something, an issue with my system as well. Yeah, so here, like I said, it was all left down to us, and we really weren't sure what we needed to do, where, when, who do we call, when do we come in, how are we going to raise the money. Didn't tell them, obviously. Yeah, so where did we go from there? Yes, so research, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, well, especially once I'd found out that we were definitely going to need to have IVF, and, like, you know, intense IVF, you know, past the initial trying with our own. I looked at net mums and reviews and things like that again, and that's what I was saying. Yes, the HFEA warning about being tempted to go abroad, which scared me off a year ago, But I just thought, you know what, I'm older. I don't care as much anymore. Clinics here haven't been very good. And I looked at Spain first. I don't know why it seemed, I think I probably Googled and the Spanish ones come up first. And my husband actually was a lot happier with that. I think especially being self-employed, he felt, you know, the disconnection from work and really not being able to worry about having to go in because he'd been in another country for a couple of days. Yeah, really appealed, really took a lot of the pressure off of him, a lot of more anxiety and stress away from it. Crazy, but that's us. Yeah, so I messaged 3 or 4 or 5 clinics throughout Spain, sort of some around, I think, Alicante, some sort of nearer Gibraltar way, Madrid. But, you know, I didn't hear back for a very long time. And in that time, I'd searched NetMums and things again and read about Prague. Of course, Spain was very, very appealing. We could get some sun, which obviously vitamin D and the sun, and getting out even for 10 minutes walk a day. Zita West even recommended. If you haven't heard of her, I'm shocked if you're going through IVF. I bought her book years ago about conceiving, which, you know, I don't know if that change of diet helped me conceive my son, but I'm sure it didn't hurt. But yeah, so the idea of getting a little holiday, having a break in Spain, and, you know, making it part of a holiday as well was very, very appealing. But as I looked into it, it's sort of £4,000 or £5,000 there. But then for extra services and medication, it did start creeping up again. So it wouldn't be with flights and hotels and everything. It's not as much of a saving going to Spain. Again, it's all personal preference. Go with your gut. If you find a clinic that get in touch with you, you fall in love with it on the website. Or, you know, you shortlist a few because their website speaks to you, or you've got a recommendation, who knows. I'm not saying use the clinic we went to. I'm just letting you know how we came to our decision, if it's helpful to anyone else. You might think you're a completely different person to me, which I'm sure most of you are, and that's fine. And then hopefully this will help you eliminate that sort of clinic, and you won't mind. You know, you might want somewhere a bit more structured, a bit more, you know, in and out. That's perfectly fine. Also, of course, getting scans and things done over here can be difficult, and they don't always know what information they want in another country. But I think there are, what's it called, things, Ultrasound Direct seem to do all sorts of ultrasounds for broken bones as well, but they have packages very easily. I think ease of reading the website was very high priority for us. Even with my 2 years of looking things up and learning all about the process, it's still a minefield. It's still confusing. There's centres dotted all around. Definitely in the south of England. Apologies, I'm not sure about anywhere else in the UK, but there are places where you could get your endometrium lining measured and that sort of thing, or egg maturity sizes, things like that, which is what they require abroad, just as an update, so they know that you're on the right amount of medication, that your body's getting ready in time for, you know, booking the next appointment in Prague or Spain or India. Apparently is quite good, maybe Turkey, wherever you decide to go. Ultrasound Direct do scans for about £90. I looked at a couple of other clinics. I wouldn't know what scan to ask for, and they also wanted blood tests and things like that. Privately, it's quite difficult to get them done separately. There was another postal service, I forget the name of, that I did an AMH test on. I just remembered that. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that for the video, but there is apparently these online medic check or something, I think that is still valid, and that's obviously a lot cheaper, sort of £80–90 for AMH test, and other tests you can get done through them without having to go abroad to get it done at their clinic. Yeah, so there are possibilities, but yeah, London clinics I looked at, it was sort of £125 to £250 just for the scan, and they didn't mention about blood tests, and it was, I didn't know what to do. So yeah, we went to Prague and let them do the initial tests, but now I'm quite confident in going to sort of ultrasound direct or somewhere to have a scan once I begin my next stage of hormonal treatment, once my GnRH injection wears off at the beginning of May. Sorry for all the at the moment. Right, so almost there. I didn't realise there was quite so much information to share with you all, but I really hope it finds someone, maybe not today, maybe 10 years in the future. It might help somebody. So, right, it's all scary, basically, is why I'm doing this video. It's all scary, all very intimidating, all quite, what do I do? Where do I go? I say forums are great. I read about at least two other Prague clinics, more in the centre of Prague to the one we're going to. And I think I messaged about 4 Prague clinics, and like I said, the one I wanted to go to, which is the one we've gone to, were actually the first ones to respond. I think it was still about 2 days after, and then another one the day after that, and another the day after that, and I think there was another that took a week or so to respond. So I said, you know, we've already looked at another clinic. Yes, so we arranged a Skype consultation with another clinic anyway, to see, you know, to compare consultations, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, I mean, I wasn't impressed with the website. Again, I thought it looked quite plain, quite cold, you know, the whole clinic. Again, you can probably tell by my appearance, I'm visual, and I like to feel, you know, people are visual, they need to feel what suits them. For me, the clinic I'm going to, you know, they have plants, they have like pink, purple, blue logo, and it just seems so friendly. They've actually got a little play area for those who do have children to come in. Oh, one thing to mention about Prague though, unfortunately, if you are a single sex couple or on your own, I think you do need to be male and female couple under Czech law at the moment. Yeah, very, very outdated. Hopefully they'll change that soon. So I apologise if anyone was watching this with that, you know, thinking they could use Prague and they now can't. As I said, hopefully it will change soon. I know they've just updated some laws. So yeah, they've got to move forward eventually, haven't they? Yes, side note, big side note, should have started with that. That's put me off now. I feel sad. The people who might have got their hopes up, yay, cheap old Prague, and the law states no. But hey, maybe you've got a male friend you can take along. I don't know. Right. Where were we? Quick. So yeah, choose your clinic wisely. Go with the website you like. That was it. The website's kind of like the background here, a bit plain, not with the pink scarf. You know, when they look very plain and very clinical, like I said, some of you may be drawn to that. I was drawn much more to the more homely feel, you know, a few house plants, a few, you know, probably pictures on the wall, I'm not sure exactly. More friendlier looking clinicians as well, I found helpful. But yeah, we had a Skype consultation with one, I said, near the centre of Prague, that had a much more basic looking website, basic logo, quite a cold you know, not very, oh, I suppose nurturing looking place. We did have the call, and we did feel a little bit like we weren't really involved in that consultation. They did say basically to go for embryo donation. I felt they didn't even talk about the option of using my own eggs. They were so busy talking to my husband about his previous sperm analysis. And unfortunately, we did feel very, very left out due to the language barrier. The doctor or clinician, we're not even sure. We weren't even introduced to who the other lady was on our Skype call, but she was studying the reports we'd sent through, but talking in a different language, and the other woman talking to us in English didn't translate very much of it at all. She sort of was talking to her, and we were just sort of left to wait for her short descriptions and questions and suggestions, and we really didn't feel informed, even though they came to the same conclusion at the clinic we're going to, which is called Gynem, Gynem, on the outskirts of Prague, which again suits us because it's not so busy. Sorry, my dog is now distracting me. Leela. Yes. Oh, I can't ruin the video 27 minutes in. Yes, even there, even though with miles apart on the phone, we felt informed all the way. Our coordinator always messaging us within a day or two. You know, sometimes 2 days. I think she only works till 4 p.m. their time, which I believe is an hour ahead. So yeah, by the time I'd replied, etc., sometimes it would be within 2 days, but still, I felt very informed with her. When we went over, the doctor spoke very good English yet again, even though, so of course, many of the staff didn't. The ones who took our blood, things like that, didn't speak much English, but, you know, even while they were talking amongst themselves, we didn't feel like they were talking about us, and, you know, we didn't have a clue what they were saying. You know, we sort of understood they were just what they were talking about. It was a lot nicer. So yeah, so that's why we didn't choose one of the other Prague clinics, because unfortunately we didn't feel informed. We still felt very, and they weren't very smiley even, you know, just a little smile now and then. It's a very difficult thing to discuss, especially when you're having, well, you're obviously having fertility, some sort of fertility issue, or an issue with having your own child if you're going through IVF. It's sensitive and difficult, and you don't want to be just talked at, do you? You know, you want to feel like you're in the room with them. Yeah, so you'll probably be glad to hear, due to my distractions a minute and a half ago, that really does bring us to the end for now. I hope it's been informative, not too sorry about being distracted at the end there. I'm a bit aware of the time as well now. Of course, like I said, just go with your gut. If you it does take a lot of research. It's still trial and error, because you're still going to question yourself. I thought, am I going for this clinic just because I like the logo? You know, there was another clinic in Prague that also had plants and things, but we'd already chosen this one, so I can't comment on that one, other than it looked okay, and there's been good reports about that one as well. So yeah, do some research. Like I say, it really doesn't matter. You can contact so many. They're used to it. They are used to it. You can talk to as many as you like, as many as you can. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Take your time. Do it all in a day. Phone them yourself. It really doesn't matter. Get all the information you want. Get get a good feel for the place. Obviously the staff who work there also says a lot about how you're going to feel when you're there, and it's going to be a very, very intense emotional process. You need to feel looked after, or you might not want to be looked after. Personal preference. So yeah, we'll end on that. Personal preference. And yeah, I'll do an update on other nasty side effects I've had from the injection and whatever else comes up next week.